Policy Institute in Washington, D.C. He was on a panel, and I was so impressed with his insights, the depth of his heart, and his love for the community and his love for America. So let me just give you a little bit about Frank Murphy. He's NFL player, president. He's gotten a Presidential Lifetime Achievement recipient, a national motivator speaker, and an author. From the NFL draft pick to founder and president of Mentoring with Purpose. So his topic will be Mentoring with Purpose, a route to reducing violence. Frank Murphy is a true paragon of what a second chance reality is. Battling incredible obstacles, tenacity and determination prevailed in his passion to help others realize their potential and become impactful leaders in their communities. Frank Murphy is the author of The Man Behind the Helmet, God of the Second Chance, as well as the writer and director of educational stage play, The Man Behind the Helmet, the life story of Frank Murphy. He founded Put Down Your Fake ID conference and created the Frank Murphy online life skills curriculum program for youth in grade schools to upper level professionals. Frank is the first professional athlete to produce and write his own educational stage play, derived from his book, and created a digital life skill program. The stage play is offered in person and virtually. He's not only give insights of challenges, but also offers firsthand solutions. Frank is also writing and producing his first motion picture, so he's really on the ball. Frank's life story journey from childhood to adult, as he overcame the struggles of growing up in at-risk inner neighborhoods, from guns to selling drugs to jail. It seems the odds were stacked against Frank while he faced the possibility of spending his life behind bars. After giving the second chance through the NFL Super Bowl coach, Tony Dungy, Frank instantly goes from drugs, guns, and jail to a star athlete and successful NFL player, concluding a successful football career, creating countless awards such as the American, All-State, and Player of the Year award. Frank didn't stop there. Since starting his foundation in 2009, Murphy consistently poured into his community, supporting empowerment programs for the youth. His efforts in the community are instrumental. He has been awarded the JTEP Heroes Award, as well as the Heroes Award of NHL, Tampa Bay Lightning. Recognizing him for his noble efforts to make positive impact on the community, Murphy received the keys to the city of Callahan, Florida, for his positive impression on the youth, and has even been a recipient of the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award presented by the 44th former President Barack Obama for his community work and influence on the next generation, just to name a few. God bless you, my brother Frank. It was wonderful to listen to you as the other NFL player. What was his name?
The boxer, and then you talking about the other player.
He was moderating. He did a great job.
Yeah,
and you did a job. Yeah, you did a great job as well. So without any further ado, everybody, let's welcome our dear brother Frank Murphy and hear his hopes and strengths and his achievements toward our at-risk communities and how he has impacted them. Welcome, brother.
Thank you again, Pastor Oliver. I appreciate this opportunity. And I always say, when it's an opportunity about motivating, intriguing, and empowering our next generation, I'm all in. Jack is the young man named that was on stage with us that was hosting.
Yeah, Jack Brewer.
Jack Brewer, yeah. Great guy, of course, great friend of mine. Played in the NFL as well. But one thing that I talk about and what I feel deep in my heart, I make sure that people understand I don't really want you to know me all as that NFL player, the guy that's accomplished all those accolades. I'm thankful. But I want you to know me as a guy that never gave up, because that's why I'm here today. I'm only here today because I didn't quit. I didn't give up. And I have constantly spoke all around different cities, different states, even the world to be that exact. But I never gave up. Everybody gonna have an opportunity to give up eventually, and you're gonna have to make that choice. Will you give up? And one thing I had to do before I started doing what I do now, I had to empty my cup. Because sometimes your cup can be full of speculation, bad opinions, bad experiences, scars, things that you went through, things that people said about you, lied on you. You're going to have to learn, if you're looking to be successful, you're going to have to learn how to empty that cup and refill it with great wisdom and knowledge, and put the right mentors around you so you can see the light of day. Some of the things that Mentor on Purpose Charity has been able to do is, of course, something that impact communities by and large when it comes to putting programs and curriculum. We have digital curriculum, we have manual curriculums, life skill curriculums, we have books, of course. And our goal is to put that in every community, neighborhood that thirsts after knowledge and thirst after help. And we want to show them that you got a second chance here. I know for myself, I had a second chance. And that's what thrives me and keeps me going and make me want to be that mentor. We want to create new role models to enter the sports arena as leaders, not followers. And we do that through Mentor on Purpose Charity. When I found myself taking that fake ID, that's what I call it. It's a picture of you, but everything on there lie. I took that fake ID and I began to run the streets of Jacksonville, Florida. I began to sell those drugs and get with the wrong crowd and begin to carry firearms, thinking that that's what I had to do because my society showed me nothing but that. My community showed me nothing but that. And thank God for the very, very low percentage that didn't fall into that. We know that percentage is very low. It's hard to walk around neighborhoods when all you see is sadness, anger, depression, killing, robbing, people getting shot. I mean, imagine that at an age of 11 and 12. And those are things that I encountered throughout my childhood, was able to see and experience. So I turned to the streets and I found myself incarcerated at 15. And when I went into that jail cell and I smelt the stinking socks and see the paint peeling off the wall, I knew this wasn't the place for me. But when I got in that cell, I began to realize that this is real. And one thing that I think our next generation, they don't know how real it is until it gets real. I think our next generation is looking up to the wrong role models. They imitating the wrong examples. I know that I did. And when I found myself behind those bars, I began to realize that my life could be possibly over. My dreams of me playing professional football and being this superstar athlete that I always envisioned was going down the drain. And I never forget, I went into the rec. We got invited to rec. You know, you go to rec, they get you outside, you know, play a little rec. And I'll never forget that this guard told me, he brought this man in to watch us play. Because he was like, man, these some talented kids. And when it was over, they kept me back and they said, hey, we want to talk to you, Frank. And this coach came out, this is in the jail. And he said, listen, I don't know what you in here for, but if you ever get out, you got a full scholarship at our high school, private school. You are a tremendous athlete, and I think you can make it to the NFL or the NBA. That was the first time somebody told me I can do anything. So from that day forward, no matter how much time I was facing, I was in my cell doing push-ups, sit-ups, squatting the mat. And people was like, man, why are you working out here? Why are you doing all this stuff? I say, man, because I'm going to the NFL. They start laughing. They say, man, you know where you at? You in jail. You ain't going to no NFL. And I say, no, I'm going to the NFL. Nothing took those words that was said to me by that coach / officer. And that's what started it all. That right there, that moment. So it matters what you say to our next generation. It matters what you don't say to our next generation. It matters if we're motivating them or we just entertaining them. I go to impact. Wherever I go, I look to impact and not entertain. I found myself going to trial and I won trial. I was able to go back to school and I did 1 year in school and won all these awards, All-American in basketball, football, track, all in 1 year. I didn't have the grades to go to a big D1 school like Florida State, but I had offers from schools like that. I had to go to junior college, and being incarcerated, I didn't have the grade. I went to junior college and like I told people, it's something called residue. And that residue stayed on me and, I couldn't even see it. And one thing I tell people, you can never discount the residue that our next generation have on them that may have came from their father's sin or mistakes or their mother's hurt, because those things are scars that last forever and you have to learn how to deal with those. I have friends that, thank God, my mama didn't experience a lot of this stuff, and my dad, I had a praying mama and I had a hardworking dad, but I was friends with guys that they would have to watch their mom have sex to get money for drugs. They had to sit there and watch that. They had to watch their mom do drugs. They had to watch their mom get beat up because she couldn't pay for the drugs at times. What type of anger is in that child at 11, 12, and 13? What type of resentment is in that child? So I begin to understand we have to do programs that really touch the whole home. When I found myself going to the junior college, I got there and that residue followed me. I got there, I started right back up selling drugs right on college, something that I was doing basically my young life. And I started selling drugs on campus. I carried a firearm. I got shot at on campus, just doing all the things, shootouts, and I got kicked out. I'll never forget the coach. The coach called my mom and said, he got to go. We took a chance on him with his background. We took a chance on him being on probation. And my mama started to cry. She said, if he come back home, he'll be dead. Will you please do your best to find him another place? And the coach was like, I don't know if I can recommend him anywhere. He's a talent, but his talent don't outlast his character. And he said, I think I got one place I can try. So he tried a college in Kansas. And I went on to Kansas Junior College, and that coaching staff took a chance on me, but once again, residue followed. I didn't know how to break the residue. I didn't even know I had residue on me from being incarcerated, my community, my neighborhood, all that stuff that I was doing. I didn't know I had a problem. I was in college talking about shooting and doing all this when you're supposed to be in college talking about getting your degree. But because of that residue, I didn't know nothing was wrong. But when I went to this second junior college, I got into it again. I'm talking about God of second chances. I got incarcerated again for a parent shootout, and also started selling drugs again right there. And I went to trial and won trial. You got to understand, that's my second trial that I was found not guilty. And I told the coach, can I come back? You got to remember, during this time waiting on trial, the coaches wouldn't even talk to me. I mean, I would speak, they would just put their head down. I say, "Can I work out today, coach?" He wouldn't even say that back. The president said, "Hey, we got to let you stay in school, but you'll never touch this football field again because you haven't been found guilty. So we got to let you get your education." She said, "You got a 0 point something." She said, "Can you try to focus at least on your work?" I picked my 0.3 up to a 3.5 grade point average. And I walked the halls every day. And one day my life changed forever. I walk this hall every day because when people see me, it's a smaller town, so they know from the news who I was, so they would not even say anything to me or speak. And I walked this hall and I heard a voice. That voice said, "Hey, young man." And I turned around, it was a janitor. And she said, "I don't know who you are, but you walk this way every time, and I see you, and it's a light following you over your head." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, God told me to tell you that you're going to change the world and you're going to change this football team in no time." And I started to laugh and say, "Lady, I go to trial in like 2 weeks, and it looks pretty bad for me." I say, "The coaches don't talk to me. I'm not even on the team. They don't even want me back near the team." I say, "So I don't know what you're talking about." She say, "No, I'm telling you what God told me to tell you, that you're going to change the world and you're going to change this team in no time." She say, "Let me ask you something. Will you go to church with me?" I say, "Man, you sound like my mama. I'm good." She like, "No, please. Will you go to church with me? Just hang with me." I say, "Well, I ain't got nobody else, so I might as well. Nobody else like me." And she mentored me. A woman decided to mentor me when every coach had an opportunity, but they didn't see the diamond shining at that time. People would bypass me, had a chance to mentor me. They didn't see the diamond shining. She didn't need to see a diamond shining. She took me under her wing. She mentored me and talked about what I was going through. She told me that this is only a phase. You have to think like this. Nobody ever sat down and talked to me and prayed with me and showed me that. Of course, my mama did an excellent job, but after a while, you don't really listen to your mom and your dad no more. So they did an excellent job, but it was so far stretched, it had to be other people involved. It takes a village. And I went to trial and I won. After that trial, I went back to the coaches and said, "Hey, could I play now? Hey, I got found not guilty." They was like, "Well, we already got an all-star running back. We really don't need no help." They really wanted me to leave. My GPA was up to 3.5. I did all that stuff. And I went home for the summer and they say, "Well, you can come back and try out for the team, but we already got our star player, the position you play." I went home for the summer and I could have quit, you guys. I could have gave in to what that coach said. When I got back to Jacksonville, Florida, I had a test. There I was around all the big dope dealers in my family. All the people see me come back home, friends, and I never worked before. I never had a job. I never had to have a job. I remember getting a job at Winn-Dixie Warehouse and working there. And right after I worked there, I would print out this Florida State workout book and I would copy everything in that workout book. After work, I would go to the track and go to the weight room. And I'm here to tell you guys, I didn't have nobody with me. And I did that every day to the point I almost died. I cramped up from the top of my head down to my toes because that's how bad I wanted it. And I remember also every time that I had a friend call me late at night to go do something, I would take that as a slap in the face. And when I get off the phone with him, I would go to the track and run. That's how dedicated I was to seeing change in my life. I get a call one day when the summer about over. It's the coach. He say, "Hey," I'm thinking he called and telling me don't worry about coming back. He called me and say, "Hey, have you been working out?" I say, "Yeah, I've been working out every day." And he said, "Well, I just want to tell you that you may have an opportunity because we had to kick our star running back out of school. He got caught stealing from the president's daughter, so they kicked him out of school." And I say, man, but here's the example that I tell people. What if I'd have gave up? What if I wouldn't have, what if I wouldn't have been working out? What if I'd have just said, "Oh, okay." I didn't take it like an obligation. I took it like an opportunity. I got back to school. I led that team to the national championship. I won MVP of the championship. I got inducted to the Junior College Hall of Fame. I was All-American, #1 recruit in the nation that year, just like Miss Cheryl, the janitor, told me. So when you tell me our generation and our kids that's committing these violence, when you say they don't need a mentor, they do, but the mentor may not look like you think they should look. This is the reason for this story. It was a janitor that changed my life. And I think so many times we look for all these titles, and we have to get out of titles and get into purpose. I had a janitor that changed my life, broke all those records, God shining over me, the light over me. I'm changing the world as we speak right now, all type of awards from different presidents. And I'm not saying this to impress you. I'm saying this to impress upon you that if God can do it for me, he can do it for you. He could do it for your kids. He could do it for your neighborhood. And that's why Mentor on Purpose Charity was created, so we can go into the neighborhoods and overflood it with all of these programs, life skill programs that I didn't have. I realized that the life skills was the bridge to my success, and I had no life skills. How to handle anger, how to control my emotions, how to say I'm sorry, how, those things, how to know my purpose. You know what I mean? Those, how to handle disappointment. Those are life skills that I didn't have, and I understood clearly that I had to do something to be the bridge to what our community was going through. So that's what I've been creating. Our programs are in the prisons now, on the tablets. Our programs are it's been in schools, colleges. I have done programs with NFL teams, for the NFL teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So where we at now is Mentor on Purpose was created first out of my, not my anger. And this is what I want to tell all mentors. You can't create nothing out of anger. You got to create it out of anguish. Anguish is different than anger. Anger means it's a burning feeling that you want to get back. You want to hurt something. You want to go so hard till somebody else feel it. Anguish is something, a burning desire within yourself, that if I can help somebody because I see this person hurt and I see that person hurt, and that anguish is burning in me, that if I don't help, I don't think nobody else will. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help. And I had that anguish burning desire in me to give back. And I tell people that when you meet the next generation, it don't have a color, it don't have a gender on it. Everybody, and I tell people about the guns in their society, the violence in their society. Every gun has a spirit on it. That same gun that kids carry makes them feel powerful. But when they use it, that gun turns right around and say, why did you do that? And start condemning them. Because it's a spirit on every gun to make you feel a certain way. And when you feel a certain way, you'll do a certain thing. I'm talking from experience. So until we get the foundation back in place, we won't see a lot of change, you guys. And what I mean by the foundation, until we get God back in place. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but when I say I've been there, done that, I have the resume to alert you on what I've done and alert you on how it works. Until we get a foundation of good people back in place that understands that it's a word called grace. And we have to really start forgiving ourselves and forgiving others that have done things not only to us, but to people we know. Until we get in place where we putting down that fake ID, which is a picture of you, but everything on there a lie, and pick up that real ID, until we get into the right position. See, a lot of us are out of position. We in a position that feels good and that's comfortable that we want to be in, but we're not in a mentor position that God wants us in. There's a lot of people out of position because they're chasing fame and titles. And number one, they're chasing money. I've been blessed to not chase money. I've been blessed not to think about chasing being famous, you know what I'm saying? But being impactful. And I wake up every day and I encourage everybody to do this, because before I got drafted, my past got brought back up. I broke all these records at Kansas State, went on to Kansas State. I broke records, ran a 4.21, 42-inch vertical, and the scouts was just all over me. And I never forget, they called us to the front so they can look at you. All 32 teams looking at you, see if you know what tattoos you got, what, you know, if you're injured. And this guy went before me and they called him up, and I'm like, man, they just praising him. And I'm like, man, I look better than him. I can't wait till they call me up. I'm ripped, I'm ready. And they called me up next and they wasn't saying nothing. They just looking up and down. And I'm like, what are they looking at? They was looking at my resume, my record. And one thing I'll tell people, when you get past that, don't bring your past into your presence and destroy your future. Because those scouts looked at me, and one of the scouts say, I don't think we can draft you with this type of record. My God, you got found not guilty, but it was all involving guns and shootings. And my God, you know, even back then, they wasn't even accepting guys that got felonies and things of that nature. It was very rare. And my head dropped. And I say, oh God, I did all this hard work. I changed my life. It's because they were still looking at my past. And I did this drill. I call it the mirror drill. And I tell our youth to do it every day. The mirror drill is a place you can see yourself, hear yourself. And I began to talk to myself when I got home back to Jacksonville, Florida. My mom said, you ready for the draft, son? I say, Mom, they don't really like me like that. I already can tell. She say, boy, shut that up. She said, what God got for you, no man can take it away, and you will be drafted. And I went in the restroom and started talking to myself. I said, I worked too hard. God got my back. He's never going to leave me. I lift weights too hard. I'm going to get drafted. See, the mirror is not just to reflect what you see, it's to correct what you see as well. I got in that mirror and started correcting some things about myself, my image. I started correcting some things about that I used to do that I can't do no more. So I started looking at myself and doing self-evaluation. And that's one thing in our programs. We ask our youth and those who've been out there in the streets that's trying to convert over and be mentors and be right and do right and act right and talk right and live right. We tell them it has to be self-evaluation. So we do a lot of self-care things throughout our curriculums as well. Sure enough, I got drafted in the 6th round. Me and Tom Brady came out the same year. And I remember telling, they say, Frank, how did you do this? I say, man, you know, of course it's the grace of God, but I had to put myself in the right position for success. And I never forget the day that I got a call from Peyton Manning, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game in the NFL. And he said, meet me over here, man. I want to throw a little bit. You in shape? I just want to get my arm right. And I said, yeah, I'm free. I went over there. He said, man, I'm going to have another quarterback with me. Do you mind? I say, no, I'm in shape. I get there, it's him and Tom Brady, two of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. And I say, Lord, I get to catch for these two guys that play just at a high school, just me and them. And I noticed something about Peyton Manning. Peyton said, Frank, if you get in this position right here, you're going to get the ball every time. I ain't say 2 yards to the right or to the left or too far back or too close. I say be in that position and I'll get you the ball every time. Every time I was in the right position, y'all, that ball was right on time, right there. Tom was a little different. Tom said, just be there. I'll just get it there. I'll shoot it there. And learning that from Peyton Manning, I say, man, a lot of us, we want the ball, but we're in the wrong position. And our blessings just keep falling because we're not in the right position because we're listening to the wrong quarterback. And until you get in a position to listen to the right quarterback, you won't be catching those blessings. You won't be putting yourself in position to be successful. And when I learned to do that, based off that little example, I seen my life start to change. I didn't know what character and integrity was until I got to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got in that locker room and, you know, I was like, man, I watched Coach Dungy and I say, oh, there's something about this guy. Like, it's just something about him. I don't know what it is. And I remember that one game we played so bad. And I say, man, Coach Dungy finna cuss us out. You know, he all nice in public, but I bet he finna come in here and just go off on us. And when we got in the locker room, he was the same way. He was talking the same way. He didn't cuss us out. He said, you got to play better or I'm going to take you out. It was no cussing or something different than what you've seen on TV. And I began to say, man, I want that. I want to be respected like that guy. So I used to watch Coach Dungy and I learned from him how to have character and integrity. Then I watched Derrick Brooks in the locker room. Hall of Fame linebacker, went to Florida State, one of the best linebackers to play the game. I watched him and how he handled situations. These guys didn't even know I was watching them. Then I had a pastor by the name of Pastor Greg Pope in Tampa, Florida, Revealing Truth Ministry. He passed away some years back, and he was my best friend. I watched how he lived. So what I'm telling y'all is, until we able to put something around our community, in our community, for them to imitate and watch, it's going to be a struggle until we give them something to hold on to, such as God, because it's nothing else that they can hold on to. I'm telling you from my experience, that's the only reason I made it, because I truly believe that God loved me and he got an opportunity for me. And I never forget, my mom told me in Jacksonville, when I was in prison, in jail, and they offered me 3 years to take this, and I already been there almost a year. So I was like, Mom, I'm gonna take this because I only do 1 more year and I'll be out. She said, no. She said, God told me that, no, you don't take no time. You finna get out. God got a plan for your life. I was like, man. She said, I see you traveling the world. And I'm like, listen, Mama, I'm the one in here doing this time. And I never forget, I went back to my cell and I said, God, tired of you talking to my mama. When you gonna talk to me? Like, you showing her all this, but I'm the one in here doing this time. I don't want to lose trial, because if I lose trial, I'm getting 10 to 15 years max. And it was just like a day later, you guys, I had a dream of how the trial was going to go. And I woke up and I'm like, whoa, okay. I called my lawyer and I said, hey, we going to trial. He said, you sure? I said, yes. I felt like God was talking to me and showing me in that dream how the trial would be. And guess what, you guys? I went to trial. It happened just like the dream. So I'm not here to tell you a bunch of fluff. I'm here to tell you that God is real and that he works. I'm here to tell you not only I experienced it for myself. This is not just me experiencing for myself. I have seen others and help others. I helped some of the worst killers, drug dealers, and drug addicts get in a different position. And if we're going to do this, it's going to have to be done together. I mean, I'm open from, I wanted to tell my story. I'm open to any questions or just anything that I can do or give to any listener. I just thought the best thing to do was to share my heart and share with you what I've been through and what I experienced firsthand. So you're not getting secondhand information. You're getting a brother that's been delivered, set free, and I'm still growing. So definitely, I'm open to any questions about any situation that may motivate you to be a better you.
Right. I mean, your testimony was already therapeutic, and it was profound. Thank you so much. I knew it was a treat when I heard you speak at the conference in January. I was so impressed. So you know, I beeline to you. And I said, I got to get you, brother. I got to get you on my webinar. And you were so gracious to come. It is amazing, the power of the word. We underestimate the power of the word because we underestimate, as you had said, that no matter what that you were going through, God loved you. So you're telling the world God loves that other person too. How many of all those kids that God loves, but who has spoken the word to them to help them recalibrate? Because every child, every human being was created in the image of, in likeness of God. So how do we touch that? You gave a beautiful rendition of your life, of how God was able to penetrate through the quagmire of the situation and the environment and speak to you that you would rise to become such an influential individual for the sake of the other on a worldwide arena. God bless you. I would like to ask those who would like to question. First, I have my other brother, Pastor Stevie Burke. I like him because he does mentoring as well. He specializes in mentoring men. Reverend Pastor, are you there? Oh yeah, there you are. You have a word to share with our deep brother right here.
Frank, man, listen, man. I so appreciate your transparency. One of the things that is very vague in our community is transparency and vulnerability. And so I want to thank you for being as transparent and as vulnerable as you've been, because the Bible says this: for they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. There's so much power in a testimony that is authentic, that is transparent. And so man, listen, we need to talk, because I do this thing for men, man. And like I said last week, a broken father can't heal a broken son. And so listening to your testimony and seeing how God has reminded you of who you are to him has really begun to, so I looked you up just to make sure. I said, let me see who he is, because I'm always vetting people. Let me see who this rascal is. And so I saw where Reggie Bush and Tony Dungy had given you a high five. So I said, okay, he must be legit. So I want to just thank you, and hopefully we can get together, because I believe another thing you said was that we have to do this collectively, because it's a holistic approach to every single person. The spiritual aspect, the natural aspect, and the mental aspect. Collectively, we can make a man whole and not just heal him. So we need to be made whole, not just healed. So again, thank you, man, so much for this. I wrote down some notes because I'm going to use them for my thing that I do on Monday nights. You can't create out of anger, but you can out of anguish. And that really spoke to me, because many of us are angry and all we create is a mess. But a miracle is created out of anguish. So again, thank you, man. And I'm going to hit you up on the chat so I can see if I can get your stuff and we can talk it a little bit.
Man, I really appreciate it. And you know, one thing I'll add on to that, man, it's like, you know, we got to understand too that one water, you know,
One plants.
And we may not get the increase. We may not even see the increase in somebody's life that we mentored.
Right.
But you got to trust what you did, no matter if it's water or plant, and you got to trust that God got from that, even if you see them doing wrong. You know how many people in my neighborhood used to go to my mom and say, hey, your son did this. Your son shot at this person. Your son, and my mama never changed her words.
Mm-hmm.
She had every opportunity to agree with them. Not that it wasn't true, but she seen the future, and the future was more important to her than what was going on in the present.
Right.
And I remember having guns to my head. And I just got drafted and I got set up, and I got out my new vehicle, walking to where I stay, and gun went to my head, and I tried to run, because in Jacksonville, if you rob, because I used to be one of those guys who did it, they usually kill you. That's just one of the trademarks in the game, and stuff goes on. So I knew I had to run. So when I took off the run, the other guy came out and said, you ain't going nowhere. And they both, boom, put it to my head. And I say, man, all I can say is, God, I just got drafted. I just changed my life. Like, this is how it's going to end. I embraced it. And I can feel them wanting to pull the trigger. One of them, he just wanted so bad, but he couldn't. And I'll tell you that the reason why he couldn't is because just a couple of years before that, my gun jammed, and God saved me from killing somebody. And I was like, man, at the end of the day, we can't be in this, man. We can't be in this to see the fame and the accolades. We can't be in this to get the pat on the backs. If you in this, you praying for rain, just know you got to be ready for the mud too.
Amen.
If you're praying for rain, you have to be ready for the mud. You got to trust that God called you to do this. He called you to mentor the worst of the worst. Look what Jesus did. He gave us the perfect example. We can deny whatever you want to deny and believe whatever you want to believe. I will never get in an argument with somebody about what they believe and what they deny. But what I will represent is what I see. And being in those situations, knowing that it's a God when you got those guns to your head, and I done been shot at several times and bullets didn't hit me. Listen, I know I'm supposed to be here. And it's a lot of kids that we have to motivate with our words and make sure that our words are inspiring them to want to live another day.
Yeah.
Kids ain't even thinking about no month and no year. You have to inspire from day to day. And I think that's what we get. We put these plans together, in 6 months. That may work for us because we mature and we don't went through the fight. You got to remember, we're not in the same place though. You got to put a plan together day to day. And I remember playing in the NFL. The reason why a lot of guys commit suicide and when it's over, they lose themselves because they got so used to high school ball playing in their whole life, the coaches. College ball, you just get told what to do. You just fall in. NFL, then when they get out at 35 years old, they never knew what to do without somebody telling them.
Right.
And they really a 15-year-old person in a 35-year-old body. So when you mentor, you have to mentor as such. Everybody say, why you make all your programs with such simplicity? Let's say, because I'm going to meet them where they at.
Absolutely.
And they ain't where they at because it's their fault half of the time. They're where they at because that's what's been shuffled and dealt to them, and that's what they knew.
Right.
So if I meet them where they at, I can change something. So the whole reason why I'm even here, you guys, is because I'm searching for souls. I never once knew anything about accolades, presidential lifetime achievement awards. Never heard of that stuff before. Got a call and they like, this President Barack Obama office and people talking to whoever they was, we with the ambassadors and we heard that you do these programs, do these, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, what that mean? I hung up. Thought they were just calling playing. They called back and like, no, and so they say, we just have to background and make sure what they say you doing. I say, oh, what I'm doing is real. So I turned it over to them and I won the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Never heard of it. I turned around and won it again, got presented again from President Biden. I never heard of these awards before. Then I get an honorary doctorate. I'm just telling you that if you in it for the right reason, God will solidify you. You ain't got to try to do nothing, but do everything that you know to do in your power.
So Dr. Murphy, now that you've revealed your doctorate degree, now, Dr. Murphy, I got you. We have some other questions. You are profound. I just wanted to say what you said. Thank you, Pastor Burke, for what you were sharing as well. We pray for rain, but be ready for the mud. The mud is where the rubber meets the road, and actually it's in the mud that the healing begins. Amen. So I want to thank you. I love your little cliches and stuff like that. They're very powerful. Any other questions or comments that you want to share with? Okay, Dr. Madeline Clark, why don't you join us? This is Dr. Madeline Clark. She's worked in the prison system, ABC. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Reverend Oliver, for your tenacity and consistency with this program, because each week it just gets better and better. Dr. Murphy, I want to thank you for not giving up. I honor your mom, that is a mom to the 110th power, because she kept speaking and she kept speaking and she kept speaking. It didn't matter what it looked like in the natural. She kept speaking what was in her spirit. But more so when you said, God, I'm tired of you talking to my mom. I need you to speak to me, which lets me know you were ready to develop your relationship with God and really hear what he was saying. So your heart and your ears were open to receive what God had for you. You said quitting was never an option. I appreciate that, because that was a tagline when we were growing up. whether we were playing jacks, kickball, hide and seek, quitting was not an option. So I admire you for sharing that with the young people in this day and time, that they know and understand, and they can pick up from you and actually see what it looks like not to quit because they face many challenges. Another thing you said that I appreciate, you said, we're here to impact and not entertain. That needs to go on the billboard, because so often as human nature, you get caught up in the accolades, you get caught up in your name being called, you get caught up in being praised, and oftentimes people forget the purpose and get out of position and begin to entertain because their name is being called. I just want you to know that I'm not easily wowed, but brother, you wowed me today. Because oftentimes, and sometimes people make excuses because they don't have the understanding. Because you've been through prison and because you had trials and tribulations, that is not an excuse for ill behavior. It can be corrected. And I think we enable people when we use those as excuses. So I thank you for giving such a profound testimony. And for you and Pastor Stevie to get together, I'd like to be a fly on the wall and hear what's going on in that conversation. But God bless you. I wish you much, much more success. And as you know that you are already victorious, give your mom a hug for me. From one mother to another mother, give her a hug for me. God bless you all.
God bless you. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Anyone else? Anybody else like to have? I know there's some of your questions people want to do online, but EJ, the tech person, EJ, you don't see him, but I like to give a testimony to him to confirm, Dr. Frank Murphy, that your testimony really moved all of our hearts. Normally he stays behind as a tech person, so he doesn't say anything. But he was one of the first to write on the chat that your testimony was profound. So you really were moving in the spirit. Thank you so much, Dr. Frank, for that. Anyone else?
I'll just say too, I know they asking about my website, and I'm sorry I didn't read this. I just started reading this. The website is www.frankdmurphy.com. Frank D. Murphy, D is in door, frankdmurphy.com. And you can see what we have going on there. And it'll transfer you also to the charity page. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, but I'm in the Atlanta area. I travel a lot. So I'm sorry I didn't see these questions over here.
But it's up there. They got it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank
yeah,
God.
EJ put it up for everyone. So everybody got it. So they're copy and pasted. Yeah. So I wanted to ask, I think was it you, Barbara? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Someone I thought I saw another hand. Was that you?
I didn't realize I
Oh, that was John. Oh, John. Hi. Hey, John. Welcome. You can unmute yourself.
Wow. Yes. It's an incredible miracle. I don't know how you got or I mean, it's so amazing, all the things you had up against you, but it showed, man, there's a spirit there that's cannot be denied, right? They saw the good in you, and boy, it just took you forward in life. Now, I was so moved by all that. And when you talk about Kansas, that's where I'm in Kansas. So, and happens to be the team you're on is my favorite team, Purple Power, Purple Pride, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Love K-State, man. I'm about 2 hours away, and I try to watch 1 or 2 games every year, and of course watch every game on TV. But anyway, I just think it's so wonderful you out there and doing what you're doing. And I would ask you if you remember or know of a college Bard College gives classes in a penitentiary up in New York State. And they've got a program, associate degree program for inmates. It's incredible. These guys are just, two of them were actually up for murder. And they had about, I think, about a dozen through the program at one time. But they start studying and they become scholars. They become so happy and so thirst in learning. And these guys just become incredible people. And they were like, going nowhere, some 22, 25 years. But Bard College does a 2-year degree, and they actually they had a debate against the Harvard School. And the second year they did it, the prison actually won against Harvard School. So they're really amazing. It's incredible. That story is life impacting for me. Your story and these people doing this kind of stuff in prison, getting 2-year degree inside an institution of jail inmates. It's incredible. It moves my heart so much that God is working. And everybody can be changed. We're not a criminal all your whole life. You make one mistake, you're a violent criminal, but after that, you can be anything you want to be. You can be a great person, and these people proven. So thank you so much for all your care. And anyway, if anybody can watch that, it's actually Ken Burns that produced this. It's called College Behind Bars. It's a great documentary. So,
All right, thank you very much.
So much.
All right, thank you so much. Anybody else as we come to, Tarly? Go ahead. Is that Tarly? Where is it? Tarly T?
Hey, this is Bruce S.
Oh. Did you want to say something or?
Yeah, just, I'm in Chicago, and it's so sad. It just seems to me, now I taught in the inner city. I worked very closely with the head of the Cook County Board, which is 9 million people. And yet, we're in the middle of a mayoral race. Of course, the two candidates are talking about crime, but it just seems to me, I grew up in Chicago, that no one politically, from the governor on down, really cares about black on black crime. That what they care about is tourism and the economy. And as long as these crimes keep occurring, in the inner city, in the ghetto, things aren't going to change. If you remember a few years ago, right after President Obama was inaugurated, this beautiful little sister who had marched in the parade was killed about 3 blocks from his house. So I don't know. For me, one of the main issues when I taught, I had 30 students in my class, of which one had both birth parents at home. And I think until you really make an effort to deal with why there are so many single parent families. I mean, some you can't help. One of the parents dies, parents get divorced, there's nothing you can do about it. But the reality is, until we can deal significantly with the single parent family situation, things won't get any better in the school. No amount of millions or billions of dollars will help the schools.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Barbara, and then maybe we'll have Frank Murphy, Dr. Murphy, to share some. Go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you. Actually, I had started speaking and didn't realize I was muted, and you called on someone else. So thank you for Dr. Murphy. You caught me with several things, and thank you for your transparency. It makes a big difference. Some of the things that should go to impact, not entertain. Create out of anguish, not anger. And coaches come in unexpected ways. And thank you for listening to the janitor, because God was speaking through her. And as a result, you've done so many things as a result of that. I taught a character education program to a middle school years ago. But my question to you is, how would I be able to get into the community like you do? I would like to help. I'd like to serve, but what's your suggestion for doing it in the community, getting into the community the way you do?
I think that's a great question because I didn't even know the answer to that myself. What I did, honestly, because I was getting rejected in a lot of places as well, starting out. And what I started to focus on is my story. Because, you know, a lot of times we go in and we just put it this way, it started to be me because at first I was hiding a lot of stuff because I was embarrassed. And the minute I started saying, okay, let me just be me. And what I mean by that, I remember going to the Miami Dolphins NFL team, and I just had got my life together, and I was like, man, God, that's my stomping grounds, man. I'm gonna get picked up by the Miami Dolphins. That's where I kick it at, have fun. So it was a test for me. And I got to the Miami Dolphins, my life was changed. I walked in the locker room, all the guys like, hey, they go Murph, man, we going out tonight? And I'm like, man, you know, I don't really go out like that no more. But, you know, if you guys, you know, need a ride or anything, if you get too drunk, I'll come get you. I never mentioned anything about my spirituality. I never mentioned God's name once. I let my light shine wherever I was at. And when I just let my light shine, but I had to put myself in position so my light can be seen. So what I'm saying to you, find a position to put yourself so your light can shine. And once your light shine, it'll gravitate. Because in that locker room, I wasn't the guy that was going out, but every time practice started, somebody tapped me on my shoulder, say, Frank, can I talk to you? They'll tell me about something happening in their family. They would say, could you pray for me? I'm thinking like, I ain't never told you I can pray. But they seen that on me, just me by living the life and letting my light shine. But you have to be in the right locker room. So if I was you, I would find out where is your locker room. And wherever your locker room, your light is going to gravitate to you. See, I say this too, you know, the substitute, entertainment is the substitute of God's joy. Because the Bible say the joy of your Lord is your strength. Once you substitute God's joy with entertainment, you now don't have the strength that God got available because you just replaced it. You replaced it with entertainment. That's why you see people that's getting entertained, they don't even pay you no attention. They just look at, oh, okay, or whatever. But once they stop being entertained and realize I want the real joy, the joy of the Lord is my strength. So if you get weak, check your entertainment box. Because that means you don't walk too much in the entertainment rather than subduing yourself in God's joy. And that's what I would say. Your light shining right now. It's a glow on your face right now. So go where it's accepted. It's that old saying, go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. Don't you make the choice to go where you want to go. You let God lead you where you want to go, because it might not be what you expect. You think I expected a janitor to talk to me? You know how many people just by that janitor being obedient and being in that janitor office cleaning floors? Do you know how many souls she saved by being there at that time, at that job, cleaning that floor to meet me? And look at how many lives I'm saving. If she would have been disobedient because I don't want to clean floors, I don't want to be there, how many souls would be dripping that could have been on her coat sleeve in heaven right now? So my number one thing is go where your light can shine. Find your locker room.
Thank you very much. Did you want to? Yeah, that's very powerful. Everybody has their own particular locker room that they can touch people in a very special way. How about in conclusion, I'd like to have Reverend Stevie Burke. We don't normally go over, but I would like. Did you have your hand up, Stevie?
Yeah, I wanted to say something.
And then
to
Reverend Jenkins.
what Tarly said. You know, Jesus never expected Rome to do what the church was supposed to do. And too often we expect Rome to do what the church is supposed to do. So let's stop looking at Rome be the answer for the church. So yes, we have people in political positions to do their thing, But at the end of the day, it's the church's responsibility to take care of the widows and the orphans and to take care of those persons that are marginalized. And when we start looking at the system to take care of us, we'll miss those that we're supposed to take care of. So just a cautionary tale is that I've learned not to expect Rome to do what the church is supposed to do. Rome does
Thank you.
what Rome does. The church
Well,
does.
I think
what
too,
the church
to
is
answer his
supposed
question, when he was saying a lot of stuff that's happening with the politics, and we understand this stuff. We know. And I tell young men and young ladies, man, we need you to be a politician. We need you to step, your character and your integrity needs to be over there. You don't have the talent to run, but I know you want to do it because it's trendy. And one thing we got to get out of what's trendy. Our culture, whatever's trendy at the time, we jumping on it. And that's one of the problems that we have. And that's why I say, stop trying to be what's trendy and be what's right. But when a person want to, and I know the church is boring to their eye gates now. That's what don't happen. It ain't trendy. And God is gonna, listen what I'm telling y'all. God is gonna put people, the right people in trendy position. So now when they say, hey, I'm going to church on Sunday, man, I'm gonna get down with the Lord, whatever. You're gonna see teenagers, you're gonna see people running to copy and duplicate that. So where we at right now in life, we see all these things happening before us. And in our heart, we cry out. But I'm telling you that more and more that we're going to see people rise up in the right positions. Just watch. And when they get in that position, they're going to do what they was told to do by God, not what they was told to do about money, because that money make you change.
Power or entertainment, yeah.
Power or that influence. Their influence ain't going to change how they live. And that's what you're going to see happening in the next 6 months to a year. You're going to see a lot of things taking place that's going to change our dynamic of how we live. And you want to be on the right side of history when that happens. The right side of history is just you making the right decision.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank you very much, brother, for that prolific but correct prophecy. God spoke the word to you to speak to us, and it's correct. I would like you to meet the president of UPF, which is one of the sponsors of the central sponsor of this webinar, Stopping the Violence, Reverend Jenkins. Dr. Jenkins, this is Frank Murphy, is a NFL player, well, ex-NFL player, and he just gave a beautiful testimony. You'd like to share something with us, Dr. Jenkins?
Dr. Murphy, thank you so much. I really enjoyed your testimony, Pastor Burke, and also Reverend Madeline Clark, and all of the Barbara and John, and many of the leaders that are here. Many are pastors. But the one thing, Reverend Oliver, really want to thank you for stopping the violence, because we're covering every angle of great people who are engaging the community and stopping the violence. But the one common thread I'm learning, I'm rejoicing today, Dr. Murphy, because God is the center of your life and the center of your victory. I thank you so much. And it's always, it's so real. And I totally support and agree with you. We want to support you, work with you. And it's so exciting. People have no idea the preparation of God in every community right now to turn the hearts and minds of young people and all ages around. We can turn this whole nation around with this kind of experience that Dr. Murphy is bringing today. And I felt it last week, Dr. Burke. Again, same kind of thing. It's like, but we putting God at the center and then practicing it. That is really that's so important. And the other thing today that was so moving is that, I don't remember how it came out. I think Dr. Madeline, you might have mentioned this, but there's always hope as long as a human being is alive and his mental capabilities are intact. Even if they're not, there's still hope. But when somebody's still alive as a human being, their spirit can be touched by God. That's why some of the most powerful testimonies, even like we shared today, when somebody is touched in such a way that it doesn't matter about their past. It really doesn't. If they really have an internal change, and my life was turned around also. And this is so vital. And God really doesn't hold anything from the past. He doesn't keep that in his memory. He keeps in his memory what we're doing for good. And once we change, that's why, people coming out of prison that John was talking about, it's incredible. They can get degrees in prison, come out and become pastors. Lonnie McLeod in New York, the Exodus community. He had actually committed murder when he was a teen, and he was in Sing Sing, and suddenly the Lord got on him, and he developed this. He started using the opportunity to study, and he got his bachelor's degree. Then he got a master's degree, and this man had so genuinely changed his life that and he had served a lot of time, but he became a pastor. And then finally, the parole people could see this man's got God with him. And he's brought hundreds and hundreds of people. And the process is they're bringing people into pastoral roles. And he's passed away now, but God bless. This is so great. Thank you, Reverend Oliver. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. I can't wait to see you in Atlanta or maybe in Washington or wherever we can work together. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Reverend Frank. We normally don't go over, but this is a special occasion. Dr. Frank, your testimony is so powerful. And as you said, always say Satan's a liar and a thief and a master intimidator. His job is to make you think that he is won. But you are saying, no, he's not. We can win no matter what the situation may be. And you are proof of that. And there's so many others out there that are like that. I think, as the brother said, I think there's a lot of healing that goes, and we need healers like you. He had mentioned Black on Black, all of it. We need, there's no one speaking the word to those kids, so the word, once their word touches them, we believe they can make the sustainable changes in their life as you have. And we want to thank you so much. I knew it when I was listening to you at that you were doing that program, and you were on the stage, and some of the things you were sharing, it really moved my heart. And I'm so happy you were gracious enough to grace us here again. So we look for working with you because as you had said, and Stevie had said, Pastor Stevie had said, the only way we're going to tackle this beast and allow God to reign is we do it collectively.
Yeah.
And the collective effort is very powerful. Again, if you want to just say one closing word, we're happy, but I do want to say this last word. We can never forget that angel, that janitor. That was the angel that God used to speak a word to you. And so what's her name again?
Miss Cheryl.
Miss Cheryl. Okay. We want to give a shout out to Miss Cheryl right now. We want to give a hand clap for Miss Cheryl. Amen. Let's give Miss Cheryl that hand clap for what she did, and she was obedient. And from that obedience, you were deeply touched, and you're here moving the hearts of all, humanity at large. Thank you. Any last words as we close?
I'll just say, you guys, to keep our eyes on the souls. You may ask, when I say I want to do what Jesus is doing, I say it from this example. You wonder how Jesus was able to carry that cross and get spit on, slapped on, lied on, beat on. And he carried that cross to that destination where he had to go. And I say, my God, what did he see that kept him motivated? What did he see to keep him energized, not to quit? And I got it. He seen souls. He seen you seen me. And I want to continue to see souls as I carry my cross. When you carry your cross, just know the job is not done until you get to the souls you was assigned to. And if you think of it that way, and you live that life, your life out purposely that way, you will accomplish all you will set out to be. You got to remember, they told me I wouldn't even live to be past 14. I did. They say, Frank, you won't even graduate high school. I did. They say, Frank, go to college? Who, Frank is in college? We thought you was dead. That's why you was gone. I say, no, I'm alive. They say I wouldn't finish college. I did. They say you wouldn't write a book. Write a book. You writing a book? I did.
Yeah.
They say I wouldn't stay saved and stay loving God the way I do. Guess what? I did. And I'm gonna ask you, when you get off here today, what statement will you make where you can say, I did behind it? Because they're gonna keep saying what you can't do. I'm here to tell you, you can do, you will do, and you must do. Thank you.
We need to have.
Thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Again, let's give him a hand clap. Brother, we look forward to you coming back. We look forward to you working with us. We do so many other things that we can strategically work and get together with Pastor Stevie and some other incredible people. And we can also, with you, take this show on the road. Amen. God bless you, everyone.
Get back with me, Pastor.
I really appreciate it.
Set up everything, Pastor Olive. You can set up everything with me and Stevie, my phone number, and everybody else. So I'll just let you do all that, and we'll get going.
Thank you.
Amen.
All
I'll
right.
do that right away. Look forward to it. God bless you, my brother. God bless you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Everyone, thank you always for coming.
Okay.
And our
Yes.
audience out there, God bless you. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy.
Stay healthy.
Wonderful program.
Yes.
Wonderful. Great you could.
Thank
see
you.
us.
Yeah.
So happy to hear.